Following the abolishment of mandatory death penalty in drug offences cases, the government of Malaysia has made an announcement on November 13, 2018 that the government is now looking at abolishing the death penalty in all 33 crimes that are punishable by death under the Malaysian law. According to the data by the Amnesty International Malaysia, there are 142 out of 198 countries in the world that has abolished the death penalty either in their law or their practice. This can be divided into three categories. The first is abolitionists for all crimes under 106 countries, abolitionists for ordinary crimes only 8 countries, and abolitionists in practice 28 countries. Since Malaysia is one out of 56 retentionist country, a country that still have and practice death penalty as a form of punishment, you should know about 3 methods of execution practiced by Malaysia and other retentionist countries. Today, I will talk about hanging, lethal injection, and shooting, which are among the existing type of death penalty that are still practiced by the countries in the world, and as of 2018, there are 56 countries that still implement the death penalty. My name is Wan Hafiza, and I'm an officer working with the Human Rights Commission of Malaysia, SUHAKAM, and death penalty is one of the crucial human rights issues that the Commission is looking at. I have read and I've studied about death penalty, and also I've delivered 2 talks on death penalty titled Death Penalty Between Law and Human Rights to the students of Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris, UOPSI, and UNISEL, University Selangor in 2017. Okay, first I will discuss about hanging, the example of practicing countries and type of crimes that are punishable by death and the process. Second, I will talk about lethal injection, and the third, I will talk about shooting. Okay. Hanging is one of the method of execution used by several retentionist countries. This includes Malaysia. Another example of practicing countries aside from Malaysia is Washington and our neighboring country, Singapore. Among the crimes that are punishable by this way of execution are murder, drug trafficking, and treason for Malaysia. Okay, before the execution, the convict's hand and leg will be secured. He or she will be blindfolded, and the nose is placed around the neck with a knot behind the left ear. Okay, the execution will take place when the trap door is open and the prisoner falls through. The day before the execution, the convict will be weighed. This is to determine the length of drop necessary to ensure a quick death and the length of the rope. If it is too long, the convict could be decapitated, and if it is too short, the strangulation could take as long as 45 minutes. In Malaysian practice, the convict can only know the date of their execution a day before. Family will be informed where they can make the final visit to the convicts, and normally the execution will be done on Friday early morning. Now I have discussed about hanging. I'll move to the next method of execution, lethal injection. Lethal injection is still widely used in several states in the United States. These include Tennessee, California, and Oklahoma. Among the crimes that are punishable to death by this way of execution, lethal injection, are rape and murder. Based on the information from the death penalty info.org, until 2009, most states use 3 drugs combination for lethal injection. During a lethal injection process, a convict is strapped to a gurney, a padded stretcher, in the execution room. A long tube will be connected from the convict's blood vein to another room where all the drugs will be administered from. This drug will be injected into a viable part of the convict's body, usually in arms, in the following order. The first is sodium thiopental, an anesthetic which is supposed to induce deep unconsciousness. Then consciousness check will be done to make sure that the convict is asleep. by yelling the convict's name or pinch the muscle. And then second, pancuronium bromide, a total muscle relaxant that given the insufficient dosage will paralyze all the voluntary muscle, thereby will cause suffocation. And the last is potassium chloride, which induce irreversible cardiac arrest. If all goes as planned, the entire execution will take place about 5 minutes, which death usually occurring less than 2 minutes after the final injection. Okay, now I have just informed you about two types of methods of death penalty practiced by several countries in the world. Now let us hear about shooting by firing squad. Okay, shooting are classified as one of the method of execution practiced by some of the countries in the world. In fact, David Earl Miller, Nicholas Todd Sutton, Stephen Michael West, and Larry McKay, 4 condemned inmates of Tennessee, view that firing squad would be more human than the lethal injection. This is as reported by Diana Paul in her article, Death Row Inmates Ask for Execution by Firing Squad to Avoid Torturous Drug Cocktail. Okay, among the states that still practicing this method of execution includes Mississippi, Utah, Indonesia, and China. Among the crimes that are punishable by death by the way of shooting are drug trafficking, like in Indonesia, murder in Utah, and corruption in China. How they will be executed? Like Indonesia, the execution is by simultaneously firing squad of 12 executioners from the paramilitary force, a trained professional to reduce error rate in firing squad execution. The convict will be wearing a white t-shirt, and they are walked to the execution site by a priest and given 3 minutes to calm down. The convict will be blindfolded and asked if they wish to stand, sit, or kneel. A doctor will place a mark on the shirt above the heart. After a final check is completed, the commander will yell, "Do it!" to the 12 executioners standing a 5 to 10 range meter. Only 3 will have live imitation, while the rest will fire blank. If the errors occur, the commander will fire the last shot by pressing the barrel of the gun above the convict's ears to complete the execution. Now I have discussed about the 3 types of execution of death penalty around the world, which include hanging, lethal injection, and shooting. I've also discussed about the example of practicing countries, the type of crimes punishable by death, and the process of respective method of execution. So, among these 3 methods of execution, in your opinion, which one do you think the most human or dignified? In a nutshell, these 3 types of death penalty, which have been discussed earlier, are among the various methods of execution all over the world. The human rights activists condemn the execution of death penalty due to the fact that it violates the rights of a person to life. Thank you.